Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A better amendment than it may first appear. Please vote yes. Mr. Speaker, there are repercussions to this policy point addressed by this amendment that just go beyond a strike or a labor negotiation. Without this amendment, the underlying bill is gasoline on a fire that's burning down our K-12 system in this state right now. Mr. Speaker, if we give teachers a moral hazard incentive to strike, and you've already heard, they're actually theoretically illegal strikes anyway, but not really enforced. If we give them an incentive to strike and stay on strike, that becomes a moral hazard to their good work teaching kids, that's going to make the current crisis we have in our K-12 system worse. It's going to lead to more learning loss, more interruption, lower test scores, worse reading metrics, worse math metrics, and an increased flight of families out of our K-12 public school system. Mr. Speaker, enrollment is already dropping in this state. Without this amendment, the moral hazard created by the perverse incentive to strike and stay on strike is going to increase that problem. More families will remove their kids from public schools. The schools' apportionment and allocation payments will drop. It will continue a downward spiral for our public schools. And Mr. Speaker, you and I are charged by the Constitution of this state to treat our public school system as the paramount duty of this government. We can't make a bad situation worse. Vote yes on the amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've heard some discussion already here on the floor about this proposal, that it risks turning union families against non-union families, and that is worth some consideration. This amendment is an attempt to resolve that tension in the policy. The amendment does a couple of things, Mr. Speaker. I'll start with the second and third things it does, and then I'll go back to the first one. What it does is it attempts using some elements of our state government's budgetary structure to set up what is essentially like a strike fund. That would be the mechanism for funding the benefit that we're providing to striking workers in the proposal. And I don't want to get into semantic hair splitting over whether that means the state is paying people to strike or the state is paying people who are striking. Mr. Speaker, that's a trivial thing and a distinction without a difference. It is the mechanisms of the state government that will be making these payments. And so this amendment creates a new account and a new mechanism of state government to make these payments and funds it in a way where the people most likely to need the benefit will essentially pre-fund the program. It is like a strike fund, but it would be administered by the state of Washington. I think that resolves some of the potential tension between the different sorts of Washingtonians who would either be benefiting from the underlying program or paying for it. Now, to the first thing that this amendment does, and this may be really the most important thing, is it states that the entity, the employer, and we've heard that this is corporations. It's not just corporations. It's school districts, it's public hospital districts, and potentially as many different kinds of employers, can't be penalized with an experience modification or other actuarial penalties that apply to employers who have high unemployment insurance claims. The same kind of methods apply to disability and workers' comp claims. Mr. Speaker, we don't want to penalize the employer to the point where they lay off the workers altogether. It's a good amendment that fixes a couple of problems in the underlying policy, please vote yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the indulgence here. Invariably, when we're talking about these different options for how to fund this benefit that the state would be paying, we're really just talking about different versions of a strike fund. I mean, the mechanics are slightly different. The processes are slightly different, but it's all basically funding a strike fund. And what we're doing is transferring the source of the dollars that would go into the strike fund here and there and the other place with each of these various proposals. I think that this proposal is a good one in that it funds what is effectively a strike fund in a way that is fairer, and I would say broader. My own proposal was narrow. This is actually broader and would, I think, be equitable to all Washingtonians. However we structure it, Mr. Speaker, we are funding a strike fund, and it's either a lot of people or a few people, but we can't avoid the fact that this is going to be a shift of dollars from other places where it is currently to a new place. We can change the names of the labels on the accounts, but that doesn't change the fact it is effectively a shift. And I mean, I don't even know if you'd call it a classic tax shift, but it's kind of like that. So this is a good proposal for how to deal with, I don't know, dealing straight with this shift of resources in the public wheel. Please vote yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please vote no on this bill. Mr. Speaker, this proposal is not about unions, in my opinion. It's not about corporations. It's not about any of those things you've heard. Mr. Speaker, I've walked a picket line with striking workers in my district who were striking against a private sector employer because I thought at that moment in time they were right. The issues they raised were worth support. And I knew that those striking workers were absorbing a cost. They were taking a risk by doing what they were doing. And that made their case even more compelling. And I'm happy to say that that disagreement was fairly quickly worked out. Probably not as quickly as anybody wanted, but it was resolved. And today, that private sector company is doing well and doing business in my district. The nature of a strike is more than just financial. It is a fundamental tension and negotiation in our capitalist system, and it's a healthy thing. It's a corrective thing. What this proposal does is it removes the moral strength and urgency of a striking worker and replaces it, as we've discussed, with moral hazard. It takes away the cost of a strike. It takes away the urgency of the message and the mission of those workers. And ultimately, Mr. Speaker, this proposal is not about unions, it's not about employers, it's not about corporations, it's not even about the school districts, which could be wrecked financially by this. What this is about is making people who are not a party to the disagreement pay for the resolution of the disagreement. That is not justice, Mr. Speaker. It is not right to force a struggling young family that has nothing to do with the labor disagreement in my district to pay for that disagreement to go on and on and on for a long time. This isn't justice. This isn't reason, Mr. Speaker. Vote no on this proposal.
On the floor remarks.